Welcome you to Porch Talk. This is your host, Alan. This is going to be a great episode. I am a huge fan of my guest here today. I have Michael Rainey. He is a comedian, he's an author, he's a podcaster. He's half of Dad Meat with Tim Butterly and a third of Little Stinkers with Jean Benet Del Calo and Jake Furman Matera. Mike, how you doing?
I'm great. How are you, Alan? Thank you for having me, brother.
Yeah, man, doing good. So we are here to talk about this book on Percs. So Facebook and Wild Intoxicated. Mike, tell me a little bit. What's going on, man?
Brother, I had a few year run where I got whacked on painkillers, and unfortunately, all I did was log on to Facebook and put out every moronic thought that I had out into the world. And looking back, they started popping up. You know how Facebook does. On this date, you posted this, and I would see one. I'd be like, "Oh man, that was really bad. I should never have posted that." But they became so frequent I realized it would just become too tedious to delete every moronic thing that popped up. So I was just like, all right, let me see if I what I could do with this. And I compiled them all. And dude, there were hundreds of the dumbest shit that anybody could possibly put out into the world. And I was like, all right, I'm gonna put this into a book and then compile all of them and then offer a present day analysis of what I was thinking or what I think that I was thinking. Because some of the shit I know exactly what was going on, but then other things I had no recollection that I had ever posted them, and those were probably the most fun because you know it's like there was a time lapse and I was being transported back in the time to experience this again.
I totally get that. I feel like some of that with my Facebook post back when I was drinking heavily.
Mm-hmm.
And so when I get those Facebook memories, I'm like, oh God, why is this still on the internet? So not only is there a hard copy, but the audio version, you got your comedian friends to narrate, right?
Yeah, man. So many of the boys from Philly were just so cool and so kind to just hop on and not only narrate what was in the book, but then they also just added, whatever came to mind as they were reading it because we would read it together in the studio. And then, everybody like I had Tim Butterly, my co host on Dad Meat, Matt McCusker, John McKeever, Ryan Shaner, just all these super funny people that, have super funny podcasts and are just incredible comedians came in to read it with me, and they just gave it their own spin that I could have never done myself. So as good as I believe that the print book is, the audio book is its own creation, and those guys made it something that I could have never made it.
And we'll plug it again at the end, but that is on perks.com if they want to get their copyright.
Yeah, dude, and I was shocked that onperks.com was available when I went to buy the domain, man. I can't believe some other degenerate didn't scoop that up for whatever reason, man. But somebody
Cool.
probably logged on to get the domain, but then they nodded out while they were trying to pay for it. So I'm good with
Yeah.
that, man.
All right. So just to back it up a little bit about you. You originally from Philly growing up?
Yeah, I live like 5 minutes from the Philly International Airport, and I grew up not far from there. So that's where I'm at now. And I grew up maybe in a place called Upper Darby, which is right outside Philly.
Mm-hmm.
I could walk to Philly from my house, and it's a cool place. Like I don't know now, it's pretty dangerous, but when I was growing up, it was like anything and everything you could want to get into, you could, and it was an incredible place to grow up. We ended up moving out of there in '94 because my sister got shot a few blocks from our house. So it was just time to go. And but yeah, we live in an area called Delco, which is like it's the kind of place where people just don't leave typically for whatever reason. And it's got, it's a love-hate relationship. I think most people that live here love it and hate it at any given time. And I might move out. I don't know. I mean, I'm 44 now. I might stick it out till the end, man. But this is where
Yeah.
I'm
Might
from,
need to
man.
get
And
down to Orlando, right?
dude, I love Florida so much, dude. Dude, if I'm going to be murdered, I want it to be in Florida, man, because anytime I'm down there, it feels like it's got like that degenerate vibe to it. And I think that's why Florida resonates with me, man, because I'm a degenerate through and through, brother.
And while we're at it, just for general public, if you're a Patreon with Little Stinkers, you could have watched it a while back, but on the Little Stinkers YouTube page, there is this great, about a 13-minute video of the cast from Little Stinkers trying to hunt down Casey Anthony. Man, that was comedy gold, brother.
I appreciate you, man. And it was so much fun because What we're going to do more of in the coming year, and what we started to do with Little Stinkers, was take these road trips to places where people have done fucked up shit.
Mm.
And I've been obsessed with Casey Anthony for a while now. Probably did something horrific, but also very hot. So we wanted to go down to Florida and see if we could track down Casey Anthony, and we hit all her hot spots. We went to her old house, we went to her boyfriend's old apartment, we went to Universal Studios. And if you check out the video on Little Snickers YouTube, I think you'll be able to follow us along on our adventure and see how far we got in trying to track her down, man.
Yeah. Well, just back to the Delco area, just through Dad Meets and some of the other comedy podcasts I found, it just seems like y'all are just stacked with comedians in that area. So tell me a little bit about how you got into comedy. Was it through like some of these guys or?
No, I mean I think I've been at it longer than most of the other guys. And it took me a while to find anything which gained any traction. Like I think the first time I went on stage was 2003. And my first couple of years in stand up, I I did I did a ton of sets. Like I was on stage most nights a week, and I feel like I started off strong, but then I hit a backslide because I started hitting booze heavy. I started just my wife and I we started having kids, so that took up more time, and I was partying pretty hard. So it was a few different factors which kind of like made me check out a little bit. And then I don't know, I guess around maybe like 2016, my friends John McKeever and Tommy Pope asked me to become a part of a show that they had going on called Delco Proper, which was a Comedy Central web series, and we made the pilot for it. And it seemed like everything was going great, man. But then the rug got swept out from all of us, and they just decided to pass on it. And at that point, it was crushing. And I didn't think I wanted to do any form of comedy anymore. But then shortly after, that fell through. Tim Butterly asked if I wanted to like start doing something, and we came up with a podcast because we were both super busy. We each have three kids, we each have a wife, we each had numerous jobs, so we're just like, all right, let's take the path of least resistance here. So we figured podcasting was the way to go, and we got lucky, man. People gravitated toward it pretty early, and we just got a good group of people that are with us, that listen to the show, that actively take part in the show, that are always commenting on shit. And we just got very lucky, man. And I feel very fortunate that people
Yeah.
are into that.
Yeah, and just the differences between like Dad Meat and Little Stinkers. So like how did Little Stinkers come to be?
I like true crime, man. And it's hard for me to find like any kind of like true crime medium that I can really get into. Like the only one that I really enjoy is a podcast called Last Podcast on the Left. I think
Mhm.
those guys are incredible, and they do it the way that I would want to do it. So I was like, all right, I don't just want to talk about doom and gloom and talk about, horror and talk about all these horrific things that happen to people. I want to talk about the people who do these kind of things, but also focus more on the funny things they do. Because as fucked up as like these serial killers are, and it's mostly serial killers, they also do some really funny shit. So I do want to always try to find like that kind of angle.
Yeah, it's like I hate true crime, and
I get it, man.
when my buddy told me about Little Stinkers, I was like, and he said true crime, but it's comedy. I said I'll give it a shot. And I was immediately hooked because it was like last podcast on the left was like at the most I could tolerate because I
Mhm.
don't like thinking about that horrific shit.
Yeah, I get it.
And also, it's like you see it on the news anytime there's a gunman. It's like we're just giving more precedence to this, and
Yeah.
we don't want to encourage people to behave this way. But
Mhm.
like really do enjoy Little Stinkers, and it is like highlighting just some of that stinker behavior. It does you can walk away laughing instead of oh my god.
And that's what I want to do, man. I don't want to just hammer people over the head with horrific details. It's like, I view it, I think in a lot of ways that people might view listening or watching something related to world history, where it's like, all right, these things happen and I want to speak about them, but at the same time, I don't want people to get bogged down and feel bad when they're done listening to it. I want people to enjoy themselves more than they are, you know, digesting the gravity of the content.
Mhm. And while we're right there, I had a question from one of your patrons from Little Stinkers. He wanted to
Yeah.
ask. Uh, What was your take on the CIA's involvement with Charles Manson, with them giving him the LSD and getting him out of jail every time he got arrested?
Dude, there was what was the name of that book? Um, fuck. We talked about it on Little Stinkers. I'm gonna have to look this up, but I
How to
can't
make
remember.
friends?
No, it's not that, although that is a good one too. I could look it up and it'll take me 2 seconds. But that was a very interesting angle that I wasn't aware of until more and more people, that I respect and admire started mentioning this book. And Chaos, Charles Manson, the CIA, and the Secret History of the 60s by Tom O'Neill. And I got it, and I was instantly into it because in the first chapter of the book, the author meets with Vincent Bugliosi, who was the lead prosecutor in the Manson case. And I had known Bugliosi was a scumbag grifter. Even though it's like, all right, regardless of how you feel about Manson, I know that, Bugliosi, he was hailed as a hero for helping to put him away. But at the same time, like he had his own agenda as well. And I think Tom O'Neill did a really good job of painting that picture in that this guy had his own agenda and there was much more to the story that was presented at the trial. It wasn't just a case of, you know, a guy wanting to start a race war. I think it was just, I can totally understand the mind control angle. And I think that's something that I don't think we'll ever get to the bottom or the depth of all the involvement that contributed to all the Manson crimes. But I do think that there's a decent chance that the CIA and the mind control programs could have played a large part in all that, man.
Yeah. And just to go back to you being an author of what prompted you to want to begin writing?
Dude, a part of it was that I just, you know, I'd been at stand up for a long time. I started in 2003 and then I got to about 2014 and I never really gained the traction that I initially sought out. And I was really bummed out by that. And I was like, all right, well, if I'm not going to do stand up, maybe I could just try writing and try to get, all these dumb thoughts out. So I started a parenting blog called Terrible Dad. And within a couple weeks, dude, I just got a ton of readers, a ton of followers. And within like 2 months, there were like millions of people reading this blog. And it was the first feeling of success that I had in comedy. And it was, dude, it was like fucking 12 years in. So it's just like, oh my God, like this is incredible. Like I am a winner. Like I feel like I'm not a total fucking loser. And it
Mm-hmm.
really meant a lot to me that like something I did really resonated with people. And, I'm a self-sabotager. So I pulled the rug out on that a few months later. And but however, I decided I kept writing and I wrote a couple of books and then I'd written 2 books. And then last year I was like, I feel like putting another one out. And then when all those posts started popping up on Facebook, I was like, I think this will be the basis for the next book. And I really enjoy writing and it's something I'm going to do more of. And I think I'm going to start blogging again, but a different format. Whereas before it was just parenting stuff. Now it's just going to be, just random things that pop into my head and get the ball rolling that way. And I do want to put out more books too, man.
Yeah, just reading through like Terrible Advice or On Perks, it's like when I'm reading it, it's real good. You set the tone real well with the way that you write it because I can just hear you narrating it in my head. It's like I can hear you talking.
Oh, thank you, dude.
The way it was written. So it's not like it's not a whole bunch of jargon or it's super professional. It's just like a conversation.
And that's what I'm trying to get across. So I'm really happy to hear that, dude. And it's, I'm a simple person, man. And it's like, I want to write so that people can consume my work on the toilet. Like that's really what it is. It's like people have shown me pictures of like the book on top of the toilet, any one of my 3 books, and it's like that's what I made it for. Like if I could just make your bowel movements easier to pass, then I'm happy to serve that purpose in the world, man. And I just really just want to, that's the way I think, that's the way I want to express myself, and it's if people enjoy that, that's exactly what I'm looking for.
Yeah. And so just from comedy, podcasting, having kids, starting a family. Uh, what are you working towards today? Because of podcasting, you were able to get away from a full time job, right?
Yeah, yeah, I was, man, and it was I had worked 2 jobs for Christ, man. I'd say probably like 14 years. And it was just always a real struggle to manage like working and doing any kind of creative outlet. And I was fortunate that, once I put On Perks up for sale, I got enough pre-orders, and I plan on leaving my job eventually, but I got enough pre-orders to just make that decision much easier. And, I can't thank the people that have bought the book enough, man, because, this is what I want to be doing. I
Yeah,
like being creative with my time, spending my days being creative and not have to rush things just because I got to work, a 16-hour day. It's much easier to be able to create things when you're not crushed by time constraints and other responsibilities. Like I still have, my family responsibilities, but that's much easier now because I'm not juggling multiple jobs.
right. And on top of that, like, what about with sketches and things like that? Is there going to be more of that down the pipe?
Yeah, dude, we're that's one of the things that I'm working toward mostly with Little Snickers because we're doing these travel videos and we do want to do some like documentation with the people that we're going out there for and the places where these things happen. But at the same time, we don't just want to show people these places because I feel like there's a million videos of YouTubers just going out there and say like, hey, this is where everybody was killed. I don't want to do just that. So our goal is to go out there and do some of that, but more importantly, create a sketch around that. And that's like one thing that I felt like we did first with the Casey Anthony video that we just put out. And we have one coming out. There's one on Patreon now where, we went to Los Angeles to look into OJ stuff. And
Hmm.
there was a lot of debate when the case first happened where people were talking about, all right, was it possible for OJ to make it from the crime scene to his house in this amount of time? So me and my buddy Jean Benet Del Calo were like, all right, fuck it, let's race and see who can get there the quickest from the Cole's house to OJ's house. So that's one thing we did. And then next month we're putting out a sketch which revolved around us visiting Port Orange, Florida, which is where Eileen Wuornos set up shop. And the sketch that we filmed there, it's it's fucking insane, primarily because we recorded it in the motel room where she lived. And dude, that motel, it's an open air meth market now. So I think the psychosis of that particular setting is portrayed in the effect that it had on us in this sketch that we filmed because the
Hmm.
three of us were genuinely scared for our well-being while we're filming this because dude, as the sun was going down, more and more of these people started emerging. We were looking at people looking into the room at us. It was a fucked up scary situation, but I'm excited now just even talking about it. So I can't wait for people to say that because I know what we were feeling is going to come across in the sketch that we're putting out.
Where do you find most of your inspirations for like some of the stinkers that you find for little stinkers? Is it just through like last podcast on the left, or is it
No,
patrons, or
it's mostly just I'll Google random keywords. And, through doing that, and also, one person will often lead to another where it's like I'll find like an article that says like, 10 cannibals in the United States or something like that. And I'll get some names from that and I'll start looking into what they did. And then that'll inevitably lead to something else. So I feel like, the rabbit hole's endless.
hmm,
And it's, I want to get more into like more historical figures. I want to get more into like mafia guys, Wild West guys, because there's so many people that have done fucked up things, but who also happen to be very funny. So I just don't want to like pigeonhole us into just doing serial killers. I just want to talk more about, as many different people as possible.
right on? And to just go back to on perks is what kind of kills me is I'm going through and just flipping through some of these posts. It's like every now and then, like it'll have 6, 7 likes, and then it seems like no likes, no attention, and those are like the really screwed up ones.
Mm-hmm. Dude, and it's like
I
shit
couldn't
like that
imagine
was,
like being your friend on Facebook and reading that.
dude, Alan, like I can tell there's some times where I might get like one like, and I can tell it's like, no, that didn't resonate with anybody. It's just somebody felt bad for me that post was dying on its own, man. And I'm glad I included that kind of stuff in the book, man, because that shows how pathetic this really was.
Yeah. Well, dude, I've got about 5 more questions and we're walking out the door.
Yeah, brother, let's do it.
Question one is just plug the website for On Perks and uh, just how to be in touch with Dad Meat, Little Stinkers, just all your medias.
Yeah, if you go to onperks.com, that's onpercs.com. It's my website. It's not just a book. I have the audiobook on there as well. So if you could just buy that if you just want that, and that's available for instant download, or you could buy the On Perks bundle. But if you're somebody that's ever put anything regrettable on the internet while inebriated, I think this book will resonate with you. And, I want my embarrassment to shine through so that you can minimize whatever you felt like when you were posting weird shit on the internet. So just know that I'm taking the bull for everybody. And if you've ever done that kind of thing, I think this will resonate with you. And my goal is to sell 5,000 copies. And I sold about 3,300 copies so far. And my goal is to reclaim a car that I had repoed during the perk era.
Yeah, we didn't
So,
even talk about the own perk car.
dude, yeah, it's just like things really started spiraling out of control at the end, and I ended up getting a car repoed. And this car was a Chrysler 300, and it was the first nice thing that I've ever had. Like, it's just been hand me down after hand me down in regards to like cars, with fucking clothes, with homes. And it was always like somebody being kind and hooking me up. And then I lucked out, a friend of a friend was the sales manager at a car dealership, and I posted that my car just hit the shitter. And I had a fuck. What did I have? I had a 2000 Ford Focus that I was driving, and it just broke down on the highway. And I ended up getting it off to the side of the road. And my dad came to see if he could fuck with it and fix it. And we're standing on an overpass, looking down on Interstate 95, which is an incredibly busy roadway. And I'm fucking with the car. My dad had given up, and I look back to ask my dad a question. And my dad's a wild dude. And as I look back, he's got his dick out and he's pissing on the 95. So I was like, all right, this is not a good omen, man. This car is fucked. But fortunately, a day later, the friend of a friend who worked at the dealership, he's like, look, if you come in, I'll hook you up with something nice. And he did. Like that day, I ended up with a 2012 Chrysler 300. And dude, I just felt like the rug was going to be pulled out at any given time. It was like, here, take it for the weekend, then come back Monday if you want it. I went back Monday. He's like, do you want it? I was like, yeah. He's like, all right, just sign here and here. You don't have to put any money down. I was like, oh my God, I can't believe this is real. And dude, it was, you know, fucking leather interior. It was just incredible. I had fucking satellite radio in that thing. And it was just, I just felt like a different person in this car, man. It just felt like a transformation. But, within a few years, as I got worse and worse into pills, I couldn't keep up with the payments, and the car ended up getting repoed. So one of my goals with sales with this book is to be able to sell enough to get myself another Chrysler 300 and to kind of fill that void that left, man. And I'm getting closer and closer, man.
Right on. And on top of that is, I mean, you had the On Perks bat, the jerseys. So, I mean, there's some cool raffles and giveaways if people get involved, right?
Yeah, so I'm trying to like think of as many different like things to just items to give away to show people that I appreciate them, and like just to make it fun for them too. And I gave away a custom bat that a local company named Victus made. They're killing it right now because they've got so many like Major League Baseball players that are using their bats now. And the guys that work at Victus, shout out to Ryan, who runs Victus. Like, he listened to the show and he reached out to me, and I became a fan of theirs too. I got to go to the facility, and he made a special On Perks bat. So I was like, all right, I want to give this to people. This is so cool that I want to give this away because people are kind enough to buy my book. I want to start giving more shit away. And I gave that away, and I got 3 On Perks jerseys that are signed by everybody who did the On Perks audiobook. And I'm giving away the first one on Tuesday, April 25th. I'm going to have Butterly's son, Ben, who helps out with the podcast. I'm going to have him pick a random number, and then whoever is the order number for that person who has that order number, I'm just going to mail them the jersey.
Right on. And so it'll be this On Perk blue. Nice color, by the way.
Oh, brother,
Oh,
it's
yeah.
I
And
I
just,
bought one for myself to wear. Like, I have an All Perks jersey to wear, and there's 3 that I'm giving away, and it's like, I wear this shit out on the street, so it's not like it's just like, oh, this is a novelty. Like, this is a cool fucking jersey.
yeah. Okay, so and also just going back to shit posting for a minute, and I mean one thing I really do like about comedian podcasts is y'all are so open about just the down pits and the downfalls and like hitting some real lows, man. And I know this book is funny, but I mean also I mean there's I can relate to a lot of this because I mean I went through some of the same shit, you know.
Mhm.
So I mean I really appreciate the balls it took to do this, man.
I appreciate you, man. It's the way that I function because, even though most of like what's in On Perks like is it's meant to be portrayed as funny, like you said, like there is a lot of like dark shit in there that I think, that was just emblematic of, significant stretches of my life. Like, I'm 44 now, and I feel like now I'm just starting to like, hit my stride and doing what I want to do and just be able to find more and more success. And it's like, it's only happening now because I didn't fucking give up. And I think it's so easy to get lost in the trappings of like a 9 to 5 job and like responsibilities to people and just saying, like, all right, this is my lot in life. And I'm just going to plow through until I'm able to retire and then start doing more of the shit I want. But I'm glad I didn't give up along the way because it would have been very easy to do that because it's just, you know, any kind of pitfall to be hit, like I fucking hit it. It's like I've been poor my entire life. It's just like I've had to rely upon handouts so many different times. It's a million things have gone wrong. It took me 22 years or close to 20 years to graduate from fucking community college. To get a 2-year degree, it took me close to fucking 20 years to get out of community college. But I got out of there. I didn't quit. I finished that. I went and I finished my 4-year degree. So shit like that is just, it's important to me to just keep pressing on. And I think, I hope people can get something from that because I know how easy it is to give up, especially when you get to an age, whether your late 20s, your 30s, or 40s, where you feel like, fuck it, this is just what I am now. I don't want people to feel that way. I want people to feel like, all right, if this fucking on Perks moron can do this shit, there's no reason why I can't do some more of the shit that I want to do. And it's just, a domino effect from there. You start doing more of the shit you want to do. You start to realize you're happier. The fucking people around you are happier. You start getting more of the shit you want. And it's just, there's the only downside to it is you're just going to be fucking exhausted from just juggling so many things at once. But I promise you it's fucking worth it.
I don't. And if you don't mind, if you will plug and tell the people how to the best way to get in touch with Dad Meats and Little Stinkers.
Yeah. If you on Twitter, Instagram, at Mike Rainey 82. And then also if you sign up for the Patreon, there's messages there. I feel like I can't get backed up, so it may take me a little while to get back. Unless like a lot of times if I have my phone on, I see a message come through, I'll just hit you back right away.
Mhm.
But if you want to hit me up, I'm always happy to talk. I think, dude, I fucking inadvertently, but I don't give a fuck now. Like I inadvertently gave out my phone number in the On Perks audiobook. So people have been hitting me up and everybody's been fucking super cool. So, if you want to hit me up, if you get the audiobook and you hear my phone number in there, hit me up, man. I'm happy to fucking talk to people.
Well, there you go. And that Little Stinkers Patreon is $4 a month or $40 a year, right?
Yep. And it's, you get an extra episode a month. We do live AMAs every month. We do book club meetings. We started getting into movie watch alongs. We're putting out sketches. We're trying to add more and more because, the basis of all this is like, I just don't want to like put out content for people. I want to create as many different ways for people, to have shit to look forward to be included in stuff with us. Because, I remember there's so many times where like I felt like an outsider on shit. And there's times where like I've been crushed by feeling like I'm lonely. And I think anything that I'm doing, I want people to feel included. Even if it's just, being open and just saying, look, here's my fucking phone number. Call me. And fuck, you don't have to buy the fucking audiobook to get it. Call me. It's 215-789-5407. That's my fucking phone number. If you want to hit me up, hit me up. And I'm
Mhm.
serious. Like when I say, like, I usually give out my information to people hit me up regarding like if you're struggling with addiction or depression, because I know, because I've been there and I'm dealing with it and I've dealt with it. But I don't want people to feel alone. So it's not just anything I do is not just a money grab. It's like, I want people to feel as though they're a part of something and they feel included in shit and are able to have fun because at the base this is, I feel like life is flying by and I think it's important to just have as much fun as you can and to just, be as good as you can to people and just feel included.
Same, man. Just through Porch Talk, I started doing music festivals. I mean, I'm lucky enough to talk to a lot of musicians as they pass through this area. And through that was able to start networking. And now we throw music festivals. And that really is the heart behind that is, hey, if you like Porch Talk or if you like these musicians, it's totally free. Come by, hang out. You can meet us, hang out. We have comedy. We got art. Um, hey, life is it's been turned upside down since COVID. Here's a chance of feeling normal again. You know,
Yeah. And dude, when you hit me up and like you sent me that message, I was like, all right, this is the coolest shit ever. And I instantly hit Jake and John up. And it's like, at some point, like I would love to be able to come down and do that. And just even listening
yeah,
to your podcast, dude, it's like hearing you and your boys talk, and it's just like, like, damn, this is like super chill. And I feel like I'm there. And I think anytime I listen to a podcast or watch something, like I want to feel like I'm there with them. And I think like you portray like the kind of vibe that I'm into, and it's like this is the kind of shit that I'm really into because it's not just like you're consuming something. It's like you're a part of something and you feel like you're there.
Yeah. And I'll give y'all like a 6 month heads up next time because we're going to do it again. And so maybe we can work that out. And
No
maybe,
doubt,
I
man.
mean, that'll, after y'all finish up here, we can get you down to Orlando or something.
Oh, dude, I was dude. Let's go do some creepy shit down there, man.
Well, Mike, one last question walking out the door. I do appreciate your time. What was your favorite part of this interview?
I got to be honest with you, Alan. Like this has just been a very enjoyable conversation because sometimes like I'll go on other podcasts and it's like sometimes you just don't vibe with the host and it's just a slog. And this was not that. This was a nice part of the day, man. And I'm just really happy that I was able to come on here and just I'm grateful that you asked me to come on, man. This was just I really enjoyed this conversation, man.
Well, thank you, Mike. Big fan of everything that you do and keep it on, brother.
Likewise, Alan.
All right. Peace out.
You're the man, brother.